Hey there, Capsuleers. You're listening to Low Life, an EVE Online podcast discussing life in low-security space, hosted by Chyph3r and Spence. The Low Life podcast is not an official CCP Games production. It is a labor of love by two veteran EVE players with a passion for the game, and low-sec life in particular. The views expressed on this podcast are their own. Warning for all you sensitive types out there, we do cuss and troll on this podcast, so listener discretion is advised. The show can be found at evelowlife.podbean.com and on your favorite podcast dissemination apps. And now, on with the show. Hey everybody, this is Spence from the EVE Low Life podcast, and Rob and I today are bringing you a special interview with another CSM-16 candidate. We have Mr. Isaac Collins with us. We're excited to have this interview going, especially because it is really low-sec and piracy focused. Isaac, how you doing, bud?
I am doing fabulous, man. Thank you guys for having me on.
Cool, man. Thanks for coming on the show today. We appreciate it. Tell our listeners a little bit about yourself, your EVE background, what kind of got you into the game, what made you like low-sec, things like that.
To get started, I guess I originally played in 2013. A buddy of mine got me in the game, and I thought the game was kind of stupid at the time. I used to make fun of it because it was like right-click orbit. I would make fun of them. I was like, this is so dumb. The Fountain War was happening at the time. I remember getting blown up in a hauler and not knowing what happened. And I remember asking my friend about it, and he was explaining how low-sec worked. And then I was like, well, we should do that. So we got with like some pirate corp and we started gate camping the exit point in Syndicate with Test. You know, ever since then, I mean, I've just been addicted to gate camping. That was easily like my introduction to the game. And the only reason I quit back in 2013 was because my buddy quit. I stayed with the corp that we were in for like a couple months, and then he just stopped signing on. So I was like, all right, I guess we'll play something else. But I come back 2018, tried to go to nullsec. My nullsec experience was in Pandemic Horde. You can see that in my employment history. I was there for about 2 months, I think. And my experience consisted of doing the data sites and relic sites. That was a lot of what I used to do. I don't like the PvE in the game, but that stuff I can genuinely enjoy. It was a lot of PvE content, and then we finally got to do like 1 or 2 fleets during the big war that was happening back then. And I remember it was like a Sunday, and I had like 6 hours open. So I was like, all right, fucking do this. Let's go. We're gonna have some fun. We take an hour to form the fleet up. We take an hour to move gate to gate because there's Sino jammers. So we had to take, we're warping at carrier speed, and everything's shit ass speed, like, because the warp speed on everything is still like not increased. They did a little warp speed increase last year. So we're going gate to gate, gate to gate. When we get to the system, and goons decide they're not going to come because we had a Sino jammer up in the system, and they didn't know how Sino jammers worked at the time. It took us an hour and a half to get back to home system. And I remember after about 4 hours of that, I said, fuck this. I'm never, ever going to a nullsec region in this game again. And as I'm getting my stuff out, I run in through Rancer, and I get my stuff blown up. And I was like, oh, well, who are these guys? And I remember they had a bunch of cargo cans all around the gate to help decloak people. They would be from like the Rixx. They would salvage it, and it would turn into a cargo can. And I asked about them, and they were recruiting. So I get into this corp. It was called Ransom Customs Group Control, I believe, RCCG. From that point on, I mean, we just started gate camping everywhere. So I moved from there. I moved to Uli, we gate camped, moved all the way to Avenal, and then down to Molten Heath, moved over to Fruligar. That was we had gained a Russian guy in the corp who managed to work us a spot in the Alliance of Coastal Brotherhood, my corp's Smart Bomb Syndicate. We got into that alliance, and we had a ton of kills for 6 months until we ended up quitting. A couple of good friends that you want to keep playing with don't show up, and it's kind of just downhill from there. Recently came back, and the whole gang's back in town. The changes have been great. The Sino changes in particular have been just wonderful. I love gate camping, and I believe gate camping is a big part of the game. I think it's an integral part of the game, just as much as PvE content and any other kind of content in the game are. I believe that I guess the platform of my candidacy is that one, gate camping is content, and so that there should be no like restrictions on it, and there should be no inhibitions on it, but there also should not be stuff to make it easier to do. You have to do a lot of things to gate camp successfully these days. It's not the safest thing in the world, and we can get into all that stuff later, but Some primary things that I think are needed in the game right now is a change to the in-game corp finder tool. I think the in-game corp finder tool is flawed in a really significant set of ways. It doesn't make you choose an 8-hour time frame. That's something I would suggest that they do. And these are like minor reforms that they could do to the tool to make it like much more effective very quickly. So if you make it so that they have to pick their highest peak hour of play between whatever 8 hours of play that they normally have, you will get away from everybody listing their corp as a 24, 7 days a week corp, which is just not true.
That's a good idea.
And the reason thank you. The reason I think this is so important is because I play in Australian time zone. I don't get home till about 0500 ETH time, and then I play till about 0900. And then I wake up, spend some time with my son, and then I play again in the afternoon around like 1700 to 1900. I need a corp that plays at AU playtimes. And when I look for a corp that plays in AU playtimes, there are none. There is just a million different corps that all, quote unquote, play at 24/7, which is useless for me. I would suggest to the devs that they make it so that people have to pick the primary thing that they want to do, either PvP or PvE. I think they should not. I don't think you should be able to pick both, even if you do both. I think you should decide what the focus is of your alliance or corp, so that you have to pick one of the two, and then you can bifurcate and like put, PvP industry related. So like, whatever your corp does, that's fine, but your focus is PvP and you do industry stuff. So those are just some minor reforms to the corp tool that I think should be done. And I think these things would make a big difference because CCP has told us that 2 or 3 things make people more likely to stay retained in the game. One of them is finding a corp within like the first 30 days. Another one is dying within the first 30 days. And another one is finding a corp that is below or at 95 members. So those are the 3 things that increase retention for new players on a significant level. So I think the most important foundation of the game is corporations and small entities, and I think we should be emboldening them.
I want to build on that a little bit, and something interesting with what you just said there. The whole more of a smaller entity. We belong to a small entity, Chyph3r and I, less than 100 guys. We're not
That's
some.
Right.
Yeah. It's not some big, massive group. We're kind of a niche group. Most of us are military vets. That's kind of who we cater to. We had a guy join recently, very recently, and one of the comments he made when we were making him do the auth system through our Discord and all that, which just about every stable corp has some type of auth system nowadays. Yeah. He said, this is weird. It makes me feel like a number. And it was very strange because I actually took offense to that. And I was like, really? I was like, there's not a lot of us.
He took offense and I said, give him a fucking number.
It was, and I think that's definitely a low sec mindset for low sec corpses. We're into the small group thing, and for someone to be like, I'm just going to be a number here. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? There's 20 of us. Maybe.
No, you're very reliable. It's important. You need 1 or 2, especially from my perspective, man. I need 2 guys, and when you have 2 guys, generally in low sec, it's not higher skill cap, but it is higher investment cap. Is generally what I would suggest. Generally, if you've got someone that loves gate camping in low sec, they've got at least 1 to 2 alt accounts, because you need eyes on both sides of the gate and stuff like that. And you generally have pretty significant force multipliers in low sec. But that said, you don't have a super arsenal. One of the things that I really hate about low sec is that you're kind of at the behest of whatever big entity is near you. Even if you don't want to be quote unquote in their alliance or a part of them, even if that's the case, if a war goes down and another big entity is coming towards your group, the big one that's in your area will either say, hey, you're going to help us or we're going to evict you, or you're going to help us and we're going to let you stay. And it's pretty much you're drug into something that you have no reason to being into. So for that reason alone, I would I'm against the passive moon income stuff that a lot of people have talked about. I was really happy to see Haiwanto recently kind of really put a fine flesh out of that idea and how it's kind of flawed in its system. I asked him about it in his forum, and it looked like he responded in Pando's podcast recently. It's something that even if it came back, all of what happened is the major blocks, the major groups, or even major null sec corps would just take the low sec moons. Even if you segregate it to just low sec, I just don't think the passive income is going to work. I think the passive income in low sec is the ships that you kill, and then the bounties and stuff like that you get from over there, the rare spawns and stuff like that.
I remember when we had that passive income from moons, and I remember defending R64s in low sec before we even hit the 32s that we had that were getting hit at the same time. It's like the 64 was more important for that passive income.
64. Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, just imagine having 64s now, and all of a sudden, like you can see it just in the way that Citadels operate, right? How many Citadels have you seen in a random fuck all system like Yavanger, Uplinger, or fucking just in the middle of fucking nowhere, Pakonin or something like this, where it's just a one-off system. And there's a Citadel with Snuff or Siege Green or some other fucking big corp. And the reason they exist and they're not destroyed is because, one, if you destroy that Citadel, boom, you're now a target. You're a target. Yep. You don't get to control the space. So even if you control this space as a low-sec corp, you're going to let the big boys put their Citadels here because they need to jump here and they need to be able to move their logistics. If you don't let them do that, they're just going to evict you out of the space. So it's you don't even get to have like control of the little regions. And just imagine if you have these moons everywhere that are worth value. It's going to be the same thing. You're going to see a snuffed fucking R64 control sucky unit that's going to be fucking taking all the stuff out of your system, and you can have the shit 32s that are left over. That's what would happen if passive income came back.
Yes.
So I don't think it's a solution.
That's exactly how it'll be, because that's how it was before when we had the passive. Make the people work for it.
You don't even need people to work that hard for it. So one of my suggestions for low-sec is for us to build on this increased bounty system. I think it's a very good idea. I think, especially if you're in a gate camping system, like as a low-sec person, increase the difficulty level of the gas sites, the relic sites, and the data sites, and the combat sites. Like after 150% of increased risk, they should start spawning higher level stuff that's actually going to give you good payouts, stuff that's going to make, one, the very least, the people that live there a little bit richer, and it's going to put them in space. Again, there's now an incentive for you to be in space, unlike an alt. I do this all the time while gate camping. I'll have my alt in the system behind Rancer, Myro, and I'll have him mining some gas, and when I see somebody come in the system, I spam D-scan to see what it is, and then I tell everybody else, and that's on the comms with me, hey, we got this in system, get ready. So it's a very easy way to do that. You increase, so at 150%, you'd make it so that they're doing hubs, like anomaly level stuff, and then when you get to 200% or 190% or something like that, you start spawning the havens, the really good shit. And I think that would be a really good way to, one, get more people out in space, and even if it's not the low-sec locals, you're going to have people at the odd hours of the night that are going to come in with a fucking Gila and think they can snag something because they haven't checked the camps or something like that. It's going to just give you more content in low-sec as a whole.
Right.
Faction warfare is fucked, but faction warfare at least gets travel. Look at some of these systems in non-faction warfare low-sec. It is disgusting. Some of these systems have 67 jumps for 24 hours. 67 jumps. It's grotesque. And I would argue that those jumps are probably just Sinos. I'm going to get my Sino in here and use this as a midway point. There's plenty of, Ophage is a system like that. A ton of little systems like that are, Uruguana is a system like that. There's a bunch of little systems that act as little axiomatic jumps to another area. So I really want to change the fundamentals of the way we look at security status and not just low-sec, but people always cry about the drone regions don't have NPC stations. Well, why don't we put a fucking high-sec island in the middle of the fucking drone regions? Yeah. Wouldn't that be interesting? Wouldn't that be fucking really interesting to have a little area where now you can put some of your new players over there, and now you can have people giving you intel over there, and now you've got these random gates on the opposite side that null-seckers are camping, and now you've got this area of space that you can look at it from the lore wise, look at it as the Edencom people are taking over or fighting back the drifters or the drones, and they're working their way clandestinely through this little circle of systems. Why isn't there a pocket of null-sec in the middle of high-sec or something like that? I think we should have more interesting interactions happening on these peripherals so that people will actually want to go there and check these things out. I think a lot of the problem with non-faction warfare low-sec is that it's just a fucking dead area, and it needs to be revamped. It needs to be changed in a big way. One of my big advocations is to make low-sec the speedy route. For those that don't know, a lot of the games trading happens through 4 hubs: Heck, Dodixie, Imar, and Jita. And to get to, I believe, is it Amar? You have to go through Visimia now? Is that Amar's one? Or
I believe so.
So to get to Amar, now you have to go through Visimia, which is I don't know if they did that on accident or if they did that on purpose. But if they did do that on accident, then that's kind of silly. Right now, I don't think there's a way to get to a Mars space without going through low sec. But if there is, I know it's got.
I've taken the travel from Jeddah to Amar and went through Empire the whole way.
Okay, so the big thing is it's just you get a lot more jumps added to the way, and that I think is a good way to do things. I think the low sec should be the high risk, high reward. You know, you're trying to get to this place to sell this item. You're trying to maximize your time in game. You're trying to do more in game. Then you take the low sec route because you think you can warp and cloak the best, or you think they're not active right now because you sent your scout through the gate and you don't see any kills or whatever. High risk, high reward going through low sec. I want there to be routes, every route to like a high sec mission hubs, or low sec mission hubs or whatever. Like these areas that aren't being used predominantly. I want there to be a low sec route for non-factional warfare, low sec space. And I want these areas to exist because these will become one choke points that people are going to fight over. So people will fight over the control of these minor pocket systems. There are a few of them that exist now, and I know from just experience, we've had to defend Grantser now 3 or 4 times over the past couple of years. It is prime real estate for the non-faction warfare low sec space. It is what you want. So having more of those areas that people are going to be fighting over is better to me. On top of that, it's content, dude. I know people don't like hearing about this, but this is content. If you want to see content, look at my losses. I just had some the other day. I had an Onyx get donkey stomped because I went out, I got my guys ready. We go and kill a Hurricane Fleet issue, and some clever guy that's been watching us a little while, he's just been sitting in system. We didn't give a shit about him. Well, now he sees that we go off to attack this thing. He has his ult on the other side of the gate, and while we're getting hit by the gate guns, he points everybody, gets everyone stuck on the gate guns after we kill the Fleet issue, and he starts one by one picking us off. And he killed 3 of us that day. He killed a Devoter, he killed an Onyx, and he killed an Executor, an Abaddon, a Shimu, and some other ship. So I don't believe people when they tell me, it's too difficult to get around gate camps and gate camps are too safe. It's just a lie. It's just not true. I can't tell you how many ships I've lost to bait. If you want to bait me, don't be make a Bomber's Bar character and you want to bait me. Make a new character. Let it be a skill farm, save it for a month, randomly blow yourself up to NPCs a couple times, right? Just fake out the leaderboard or whatever, and then bring that character through in an epithal and have a bunch of increased bulkheads or whatever on the low slot and the damage control, and Sino and your gang of friends. And I promise you will take it. I promise. I can guarantee you, every low sec player I know would take that gamble, because we are very complacent. We're constantly getting content, so we're constantly just trying to catch things. We don't always have the time to check the leaderboard or kill board in general. We don't always have the time to know if we're going to be doing something smart or stupid. The only time we're not able to take a fight is when people come in with like 50 of something. But if you want to have a fight and you want to get something through and you know that there's like 10 people at a gate camp, just bring 5 or 10 ships. I promise you, if we could take the fight, we'll take it. We'll take it. We don't think this far ahead. I promise, guys. We don't think this far ahead. A kill's a kill, and
low sec guys are more spur of the moment, kill it, get rid of it.
Opportunistic, man.
Yeah.
If they could hand out Riddlin to freaking low sec players, we would own Eve.
Yeah, unbelievable, man. Like we're very constantly like, we got one guy that's always out like looking for somebody. You have some hunters that just get stir crazy, and as soon as you know it, like we'll drop on something or something will drop on us, and then everybody freaks out and all your friends leave you like a cockroach, and then you're sitting there in your 5th Onyx that you've lost for the week, and you're like, fucking shit. And then later in the day, you kill a hauler for $5 billion, and you're like, oh hey, I can actually afford to replace that shit I lost earlier today. So it's like, it's a give and take thing. I mean, it's just how it works. It's a cycle of content in my eyes. Another thing you can do is, if you don't want to go through a gate camp, man, there are probes that exist that you can use to find wormholes, and I promise you they're all over the place. If you can't do that, you can use the filaments. If you can't do that, just log off before, like, at a certain time and come back later. I promise. We're not on the gate 24/7, and even when we are, we're not always paying attention. We're not always able to catch everything. Nobody can do that. And I just don't believe people when they say gate camps are too safe. I think it's just inherently not true, and it just speaks from a lack of experience of gate camping. I think gate camping is one of the best. If you're somebody that like Haiwanto and you want to experience like a random fight, come over to a gate camp and get the guy in the hick or get the guy in the battleship that's just sitting there, because we will try and get him off the gate. We will try and come and help him, and we'll lose a bunch of ships doing it. We had an event the other day. I'll tell you right now. These wormhole guys, they fuck our shit up. I mean, these guys are really exquisite players, and I don't ever claim to be anything as good as these guys, man. You can just tell when you see somebody in a Sleipnir and they're manually piloting their ship that you are really in for a rough one. So we had this guy that has both his Logi on his frigate. He's doing this gate camping by himself, and all of a sudden someone baits him with the frigate. And all of a sudden, 2 more frigates, a destroyer, and a Sleipnir come, and they start popping his crap left and right. And we're losing a Cerberus, we're losing an Executor, we're losing a random like ships left and right. And one of our jackasses hard warps his carrier to this fucking gate. And so now he's pointed by like 2 of these fucking guys, and we can't catch them. We're not able to do this, so we're having to come out there with jammers trying to get these ships to get their point off him. And he's having a panic attack, worried that he's about to lose a carrier. And we're like, it's just a shit show, man. It's like Benny Hill. I mean, we're not very organized. I'm very in the moment. People really overestimate the skill caliber of people gate camping. I mean, the only reason we're camping is because we're 30 years old. We have a couple of kids. We fucking don't have that much time to play, and we don't want to spend 4 hours to form up for content to not get anything. It is what it is. It's the casual player's player base, man. Like this is where you're gonna find your average guy, your average players in low sec. I think nullsec is for people that got a lot of time or enjoy PvE, and or maybe that just really enjoy the camaraderie aspect. I mean, there is something to say for that. They do have a really interesting self-identity that they really associate themselves with. You can see it on Reddit all the time. I don't think pirates have that. I think they really have their identity as a pirate, and you can see that in like anytime you're doing some PvE content as a pirate, you kind of get your ribs digged into by a couple of other guys. Kind of get some colorful choice of vernacular thrown at you for engaging in such heinous activities, to say the least. It is what it is, but it's like gate camping as content is a big focus of my campaign, and I think there are some skill things you can do, like decloaking haulers. That's a actual like skill thing, assuming you're not using fighters from a structure. You're using like a frigate to do it. That takes some skill, but it's not nearly as much as like forming a fleet together and all flying the same doctrine. We can't even get our guys to fly the same doctrine. Everybody, you deal with a bunch of prima donnas in gate camps. I want to come in my shield fit Hurricane. Like, okay, guy, all right, that's what you want to do. That's fine. We'll do that. Like, you don't really argue with people about this kind of stuff. It's just what happens.
Now that we're on this topic, okay, you're a gate camper. You enjoy it. It's the content you enjoy. You feel it is definitely an integral part of EVE, which I don't disagree. However, this year running, there is a certain other candidate that is diametrically opposed to that. And he's actually, part of his platform is running against other players, especially low sec, who enjoy your style of play. It's almost as if it's targeted at how you play EVE. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. That's one of the things that that kind of got me really buzzed to run. I saw his post and I just thought it was so opposed to what I believe in terms of the game's content cycle that I just couldn't like sit idly by. I had to at least make a noise. I would love to talk with him. I know he's a vet, and I thank him completely for his service. I have a big respect for anybody that's a vet. Honestly, I definitely disagree with his viewpoint, and I'm not even going to go into like his character or anything like that. I have nothing really to comment on that. Whatever he is or who he is, it's kind of irrelevant to me, to his beliefs. But his beliefs, I think, are inherently flawed because one of his supporters kind of argued that it was based off of like the loss rate that people have comparatively. And I think that's just arbitrary because there are plenty of people in nullsec that have that loss rate. They wouldn't be clamoring for nerfs to nullsec. But I also think that I feel like it's more like a personal thing for him. I feel like he must have lost something at a gate camp and just really had to go on the warpath because it doesn't make sense in a lot of cases. Ask any FC that you know of. More people in space is more content, and that's just the way it always works. If you have more people gate camping, if you have more people PvEing, you have more people undocked, that is more opportunities for content. And that is what everybody wants more of. You have lots of ways to get content from gay campers, many of which I spoke about here. I just don't think his claims are true. And I would love to have a conversation with him on my YouTube or on another podcast or his stream. His only reply to me has been that he will not have anybody that he does not know on his stream. And I don't think that really adequately addresses my points. Perhaps he wants to address my points on his own without me being able to defend them. Maybe, I don't know. To this point, I don't think he's being charitable or willing to engage with the opposing view on this, because I don't think he extrapolated his view on this as much as he should have, or I don't think he sincerely holds those beliefs. I think he might just hold his beliefs to be making a controversy, would be my like cynical reading of the situation. Now there is something to be said for I don't mind high sec ganking. I think high sec ganking is like something that should exist in the game, but there is something that I do not like about high sec ganking when it's when you're like, especially right now with the minerals change. I heard on another podcast people were complaining about like people blowing up empty haulers just to blow those up, like the freighters. I don't think the freighter people should be autopiloting, so like I think there should be some risk for that. But I don't like that, now these freighters cost 2 or 3 billion and people can kill it with 20 nagas, and that's like effectively a fourth of the cost, more or less, or maybe even less than that, maybe an eighth of the cost. I think that's not very good. I would probably support maybe more health being added to these freighters if they're going to keep these mineral changes, so that they have to at least invest more to do these kinds of things. I don't like the disparity of loss there, because when they have 20 billion in the cargo, yeah, okay, I bet these guys are willing to do whatever they need to do to kill it. That's going to happen. But I just don't see the purpose of doing it on something that's completely empty. And I also think there should be symbols on new players. Jurius Doctor is kind of talking about this. I fully support him. I hope he wins in the CSM. I hope he wins a spot. He's really focused on the new player experience. I'm sure he might talk to you guys at some point. He had this idea of I asked him if he believed that having a symbol next to new players, because you do kill a lot of new players at gate camps, and I'm sure they kill some at ganks. I don't want new players to be experiencing that right away. And something I have this happen all the time at a gate camp. You'll get somebody with a very bad fit, and then you'll look at what you just killed, and you're like, okay, let me check this guy's how long he's been playing. And that should tell you something right now, that I don't check how long someone's been playing till after I've killed it or after I've been killed, because I'm not that intelligent to think that far ahead. I'll see oh, this guy's only been playing for 30 days, and I'll just send him whatever the cost of his ship is. I'll send him double, because I don't want new players being discouraged because of a bad experience they had. And oftentimes I'll open a chat with them. I think another thing that would be really great is when people get killed by other people, if they're new within 30 days, I think a chat box would be automatically opened with the other player, assuming the other player is willing to engage or something like that. But I think a lot of people would be willing to if they know that the player's new. I'm sure many times it's probably an accident. Nobody wants new players quitting, and every pirate that I've ever met who's killed a new player has done the same thing as me, where they send money to these people because they feel bad. Nobody wants players quitting this game, and that's across the board.
I think it's more the rule than the exception in low sec, because I know my guys, they'll do the same thing. They'll kill somebody, they'll notice that it was a brand new player. To us, we see a venture, we see two things. Number one, we see content. Number two, we see potential sign-up. So we go after him.
Yeah.
But then when we figure out it's a new guy, we're usually...
Then we try to recruit him.
We try to recruit him so we can kind of help him. And it's not and it's not even we want numbers, because it has nothing to do with that. It's more bro, let us show you how you can live down here and make your money and have fun and content in a safe way. And sometimes
safer way.
Somebody's pissed. But, if they're not the get fucked, they're usually you know what? Hey, let me take you up on that. So we actually see that as a benefit, because education is the best way, the whole teach a man to fish thing. But we definitely, I think I've seen that more in low sec than the opposite, which is just get fucked nerd, ha ha ha, go play Apex.
Yeah. No, I've never seen that even. I haven't even gotten that response to a new person. In fact, what will often happen is you'll try and start a conversation with them and they'll reject it because you just blew them up. Right. So I send them a mail. I always send them a mail. I'll send hey, I'm so sorry about killing you. I don't know if you're new or not, but here's the money to cover your cost. And I could submit my API or something. I don't mind people looking through my mails, like going through the individual mails. I've sent plenty. And I've also sent some to, listen, if I kill a guy in high grade crystals and he's got 2 billion worth of implants and he was just flying in a prospect, there is something great to enjoy there. I love sending the inverse mails. They're like, hey, you left your implants over here. Do you want me to pick them up for you? Like, I don't know what happened. It's like, I definitely enjoy that aspect of it too. But for new players, I have a huge soft spot in my heart for those people for many obvious reasons. And many of the recruits that you get in low sec are going to be new players and stuff like that. And then it's another reason why I don't like super capitals. And I can fly a dread, and I don't like dreads. If I had a wand in my hand, I would erase all capitals, like even potentially Titans. I don't know if I would go through with that last one, but I don't think they're adding to the game as much as they're taking away. And I think you can see that in like people like Pro God Legend. The guy is a dickhead overall, but he's got some really solid views about the way subcapitals work. Because if I was someone that wanted to be in a fleet, what I want to be is the guy that's manually piloting my ship and maximizing my range, and I'm getting perfect kite, or I'm getting perfect orbit distance so that their guns can't track me, and perfect speed and moving transversal velocity and formations and stuff like that. We warped in this way. We warped our guy right on top of it. We warped our fleet, our brawler fleet, right on top of the kiting fleet, and we just decimated them. Like, I want, those high movement, high impact, high skill fleets. Who the fuck wants to just warp a fucking fleet of like moving stations that can just shoot each other really hard? Like, it's just fucking basic. There's no skill play brought into, but there's a very minimal skill play brought into fucking dreadnoughts. And there's a little bit of skill play dropped into like carriers and super carriers. But I think they take away from the game more than they add. And I don't think they, like, at the very least, I think carriers as a whole are not adding much to the game. I think dreads and titans you can have more of an argument about, but like carriers are just not interesting to me at all. I think everybody wants the more interesting fleets where you've got MJD Ravens and you got people making these decisions that are relevant, and one guy getting left behind can fuck over your whole fleet. I think stuff like that is interesting. I don't think people want these low, meaningless engagements where it's just, they have more capitals, they have more titans, they win, so I guess we can't take this fight. Like, I don't think that's interesting.
And that's a good point. I had someone, I forget who it was, someone I talked to recently said, if we could remove the ability of caps to do anything but movement-based skills in low sec.
I support that completely.
Yeah, you can use them for bridging. You can use them for whatever you want to do. You can do your Sino shit, move your stuff around. But your complete weapons lock, your complete E-War lock, so if you're bringing bringing it there, you're just a big fucking target.
Yeah, exactly. And you can't make supers in known space. You have to own the space. I don't understand how we can have it so that they can make it here, but they can never, they can fly it anywhere. It just seems ridiculous to me.
Everywhere but Empire.
And, it's just so many of these things make no sense. And one thing that I've also thought about, and this is just a thought literally off the cuff, but there's very little pirate identity in this game. One of the biggest things, if you look back at videos, there are so many meme videos about how to be a pirate in Eve, right? And all these there's a classic one that everybody's seen, with the British guy going off about potting people and stuff like that. And it's that culture is almost dead. The only thing that being a pirate means is that you can't go into high sec, and you get fucked by high sec and null sec at all times. That's the identity of a pirate now. So on top of why can't low sec space have if you want to be a benefit, if you want to make the lower group have more benefit as a whole in low sec or something like that, give some kind of ships that operate off of security status. There used to be there was a ship that would work only if you had +5 security status. Where's the inverse of that? Why don't we have more ships that are if you have -10 sec status, you get a double roll bonus modifier or something. Right. I don't know. I want some interesting ship for pirates, because all of the pirate stuff is there's nothing. And I get null sec guys with their supers out here and their perfect 5.0 sec status. I get shot on the fucking gate by everything, and I have to deal with the gate guns. They don't ever have to deal with that. I can't even it's ridiculous. I get gate guns. I think they're good. I don't think they should be nerfed. But I think if there should be some positives to being a pirate in pirate space. I think there should be something like that. At least
Right.
if I'm negative 10 sex status, let me.
The other night we were talking about this exact thing. Like if your sex status, like the gate guns, like if you're living in a certain area and you're kind of controlling it, why aren't you getting like a policing agreement with the owners of the gate so that the gate guns don't target you right away? Maybe there's a delay. Maybe they shut down.
Pay like Concord, yeah.
Like
Concord.
Yeah, like a bribe or something like that. You know, we were talking about all kinds of things. It was great.
It's difficult. Yeah, those things are difficult to implement. That brings up another thing, though. So, like, I like the pirate identity so much that I think the bounty hunting system that we currently have that's turned off right now, unfortunately, I think it should be turned back on. But I thought a lot about the reforms to the bounty hunting system, and I can't think of a good one that fixes all the issues with it. But I do know you can improve the one that we have now with some simple reforms. And some simple reforms would be like, one, make the top 10 most wanted people, like that they have, the most wanted list. Make that based off of the activity. So make it within, if somebody hasn't killed a ship within this last week, take them off the list, put them on the bottom, and they don't matter, because people should be able to hunt these people, and you can hunt them if they're active. You can find out what system they're in. You can find out what kind of play style they have. And if they've got the most wanted, I mean, hey, that's fucking money. One of my favorite things I have, there was this one time I was in Yvanger, which is like a little connection off of a Caldari space or something like that, near Lone Trek or fucking Black Rise, I can't remember. I had a guy that came through and I smart bombed him, and he was just in a pod. And I remember getting 300 million added to my wallet, and I was like, what the fuck was that? Like, well, it turned out this guy had a big bounty on him for like fucking, I don't know, like 350 mil, and I cleared it out when I killed him in his like $2 billion worth of pods. And so, like, there's a way you can really get the effective benefit of the current bounty system. It's really not that hard. I think the current bounty system is really cool, and I think people should be able to benefit from hunting pirates, and I think pirates should be able to benefit from it in some way. I don't know if it'd be bribing Concord. That seems a bit difficult, but I think there should be some, at the very least, there should be some special effects for ships that have pilots, like pirate faction ships, something that have negative 10 sex status. I think something should exist for them.
Yeah, we went into thinking about, you know, you had to have all your socials to 5, maybe make some advanced ones on top of that would help you, you know, be able to quote unquote bribe it.
Police come to LoSec, like, if all of them come to LoSec, I'm dead. Like, I'm -8 everything, like across the board. Like, there's no, I could be 5.0 and I can't go into the like known space.
I know we're kind of going down the rabbit hole here a bit, but can you imagine if, like you're saying, there has to be a benefit to being a pirate? Can you imagine if, like, let's just take, for example, the pirate ships like the Dramiel. In order to even sit the Dramiel, you need to be -1.0 security status. The Cinnaball, you got to be -3. The Macariel or the Belgorn, you got to be -5. And then like -7 or -10 to sit like the, you know, if you wanted a Moloch or something, which I don't know why you would, but let's just say you did. That way, you come into a system or someone comes in and sees you in the system, and they double click you in local, and they're taking a look at your name, and they see, oh, that guy's -5. That's my Belgorn right there. That guy can sit a Belgorn. No more of these Macariel fleets that people are using just because they can sit it. So there's massive amounts of it.
It's a great idea. I think that would actually shake up nullsec in a huge way, because a lot of the nullsec guys do not want to be -5 sex status. That is an awful experience for them. I think you would see like a re-changing of their basic fleets for battleships at the very least, which would be interesting to me.
Yeah, well, and if from a lore standpoint,
and you can do the same for them, like the Navy ships. Maybe make the Navy ships like for +5 sex status, right? Like you can make this interesting. This does not have to be pirates gain this and non-pirates don't gain anything. I fully believe in like some balance here for both sides.
Yeah, it actually makes the sex status have a purpose and a goal where people can say, you know what, I really want to sit that Gila. I need to go down to LoSec for a while. Because right now with the lore, there's a disparity. It's like if you're in LoSec and you kill people, you're a bad person according to Concord and the Empires. But if you do it in NullSec, hey, you could be a 5.0 good guy.
Marshal give you like increased shield repair bonus if you have high sex status, isn't it? Is
something like that? Yeah.
There's one of them that does that. It's like at the Marshal or the cruiser one version of the Marshal. I can't. Man, I wish I remembered these. They're the Concord.
I'm pulling it up. Plus 10% bonus to security status gains from destruction of non-capsular pirates while flying this ship. So yeah, like if you wanted to get up to the Navy faction ships, so you get in your Marshal, and that way you can get up a little quicker.
Yeah, that's it. But I think there should be tangible benefit. I want like the Cinnabol or something like that gets like double the align speed if you're in -5 status or something like that. Something that's tangible that people can really feel, and they don't have to be too overpowered, but it should be a benefit. It should be like something where it's like, fuck, we're in pirate space now. This is going to be fucking scary. Like yeah, it shouldn't be like, oh, well, if they fly the same ship as me, I wonder what their fit is. Like, it shouldn't be that easy.
And it would be nice that when someone comes to your space, like, okay, if I go to high sec, I need to watch out because there's a good chance I'm going to run into Navy faction ships from these groups.
Yeah, Navy faction ships. They got like faster scan res, and they can fucking point me right on the gate and fuck me. Like, that would be like another cool thing you can do. Don't give the faster scan res to the pirate ships, which they need in order to fucking like kill people at gate camps, right? But so like you could do cool stuff like that. I think it would make it really more dynamic. And they were already talking about a Navy rework, so I'm sure there's a way that they could do like both, I think, in my opinion. But I'm sure like these are all just ideas. These are just things I would throw. Like if I'm on the CSM, I know they're not going to just listen to me. Like I know I would have to just say like, well, I think these things are really not relevant, so either like let's get rid of them, or like maybe you guys can expand on them or reform them. And a lot of my views about like some of these stuff is like the simple reforms. I think simple reforms get a really better shot of getting in the game. So like the bounty system working off of activity, and like the corp tool finder, instead of redoing everything, let's just make it so that it has a couple more options that'll really give them more like
more of a boost,
opportunity to make it work. Yeah, more chance to succeed with it. And I think that cuts a lot of the work time for them, so it might be able to make the list. All these things that I've suggested are kind of things that are like minor changes that they could potentially do. A couple of other things that I can think of. The scan probes, I think if you have Astrometrics 5 and you have the support skills, all the 4, I think wormholes should be scanned instantly. And I think a big thing about wormhole space is they lack a lot of content. And I think a lot of people like lack the ability to deal with like, the scanning. Like it's so time consuming. It's wretched. And I think a lot of those corps probably run into fatigue with having to like scan all these things down, scan 20 signatures down one by one. So I think a big quality of life change that I would advocate for is like for wormholders in specific is increasing the probe strength on wormholes in specific, so that it only those signatures, not everything else, so that the implants are still worthwhile and stuff like that. But I think they should really, if you want to increase content in all the sects, like you want to get more wormholers into low, null, and high sec, and you want to get more people into wormholes, I think this is one of the best changes you could do to increase that kind of activity. So that's just another thing that I kind of believe in. I've got a list of positions that I've kind of supported in the past on my posts that people are more than welcome to go through.
In your EVE Online post, it shows that you're very active with the positive side of EVE, meaning that you want to see changes and you're not just bitching about things that are broken. Because there's a difference of saying, I don't like that, it's broken, and hey, what about this? This might work better. That's the kind of attitude I would think everybody wants. I know, like as a business owner in real life with my employees, I don't want somebody telling me this doesn't work. I want to hear this is what we can do better.
Criticism and solutions. Yeah,
exactly.
One thing I will say, people are really focused on getting CCP to cry uncle. I think that's a waste of our time. I think that's like an incredible waste of time. I think if we want positive change in the areas that we care about in this game, I think we need to really stop caring if they admit when they're wrong, and start just immediately after they've seen that they're wrong, it's upset. Okay, I get it. I get we're upset. But let's immediately get the change. Let's get it reverted. Let's get it fixed. Let's stop worrying about mea culpas. Let's stop worrying about, CCP needs to come out and say the blackout was bad. The blackout was a fucking user identity idea. I mean, everybody forgets it, but the blackout was widely supported. Look at Reddit 2 years ago. I remember this. All the time you'd see wormholers saying, remove local from nullsec, remove local. It was a common meme. And then when they do it, everyone's like, oh, this is a fucking bad idea, guys. Well, guess what? They gave you what you wanted and they listened. It's not their fault. Like, there's many ideas that people have suggested. Like, imagine if they just came back with passive moons and then, oh yeah, hey, guess what? That idea is not good for this time. But everybody wants it right now, and it's a popular thing to support. We need to think more in depth about like these ideas that we just quickly quick to support because we hear it from, people that we like. Like, I like Visceral, I like the Matani, I liked Villy, I like Pro God Legend. I'm very indifferent about all these characters. I like Hywanto. I like all these people that create content for the game on these media platforms. But that doesn't mean every idea that we all have is a good idea. And two, I don't think getting CCP to admit that they did something wrong, especially when the players supported it, is a good use of our time. I think we should focus way more on getting positive change done and way less on trying to get them to submit to our feelings of anger is what I would say. So that's a big part of like my identity, I guess, going forward if I manage to get on the CSM.
Well, that's a good point, and we've talked about this. Chyph3r and I have talked about this before with other folks. Eve is a dysfunctional family. We are the children, the players. We have our parents are CCP, and then the CSM is supposed to be that like either older sibling or like the favorite aunt or uncle that kind of stands in the middle and says, "Okay, calm down, guys. Like we can work this out." And it has to be a partnership. The CSM should be the handshake between that partnership. And you're absolutely right. When there's people that are thinking that it's all an arm wrestling match and there can only be one winner, we all lose.
I agree completely, man.
Rob, you got anything else before we start wrapping up with Mr. Collins here?
No, I mean, other than I disagree with the dread thing because I love my dread because I love using dreads. I love using dreads.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
I love using my dread that I stole from Amok. And I like to use it against other capitals. I do not use it on battleships. I do not use it on cruisers or anything less, but just to blap capitals.
No hard dreads, man. That's the words to live by.
Yeah.
I love brawlers, man. I wish that last idea. This is something I've thought about. Like Sutonia mentioned, these these kiting ship metas. That's they can move 150 km speed off the grid. They can hit you farther, and they can have greater tank. Why? How come when I put on blasters or torpedoes, I'm not given like a double health like bonus or a double resistance bonus? Like I'm up close, I'm being webbed, I'm being scrammed. I should either hit way harder or I should hit and take damage, way less damage.
Yeah.
Like let me brawl. Like if I've got enough like retard brain cells to like fly over there, then not only I'm going to be risking my entire fleet. I'm sending my entire fleet on top of these people with this bad fit that is normally really bad. Like, let me take some more hits. Let me try and kill some people. I think we should make. I think that would be like a real fun shape twist to the meta. It would be to increase the health when you're brawling, and if you're not going to decrease the health while kiting, like then there needs to be an increase the health while brawling. One of those two needs to occur because I don't think they like the current meta where like Munins can just pop something. There's a critical mass where everything just dies. And I don't think people like the Cerberus 120 km away using heavy missiles to try and alpha a target. I don't think the nullsec guys like that. And I know they don't because they cry about it all the time. Like these are changes that everybody can like. Like I love torpedoes. I want to be the retard battleship on the gate with torpedoes who gets owned by a frigate. I like doing that. I don't care. I like it. Anyways, that's it. End of rant. Sorry.
Yeah, you've got a lot of really good ideas. I'm really impressed. I'm glad you reached out to us to come on the show because I like the fact you're not just saying, I'm part of a big block and I want to be on here because, and you're pointing out things that can actually improve the community. Now, there's always going to be things that not everyone's going to get behind, but that's life. So tough shit. Some things are good. Some things we won't like. There's a lot of things that you have in your list. And I want to encourage the people listening to go to the link will be in the show notes for Isaac's, his CSM posting on the Evo forums. There's a lot of cool stuff in here that we didn't even get to today, but just some really, really neat things, even about like Project Discovery, just some cool ideas. He's going there to work alongside the CCP devs and bring up ideas and look at their stuff and kind of be that handshake between the communities. And part of that handshake is him saying, what do you guys think about this? What about that? And we have seen that over the years, while, it's not the CSM's job to quote unquote fix the game. They can't. That's CCP's job. They can make suggestions and sometimes they are picked up. And even if one or two of these are picked up, for us low-seckers, that would be a huge quality life thing. We didn't even touch on faction warfare stuff today.
Not even just low-seckers, man. Just fleets, man. Like you want a brawling fleet. You want to have a high security fleet. You want to have a low security fleet. Like you want to have You want to have interesting interactions in the game.
Why should people go ahead and vote for you for the CSM, put you as their top choice as they're voting here real soon? Any other things you want to plug? We'll make sure there's links in the show notes to your Discord that you've got, as well as your Evo and so on and so forth, your social media stuff. Go ahead and make your pitch to the folks.
I'm not going to always have the best answers, and I'm not always going to have the best suggestions, man. But like, if you send me a mail, like, I hold Brisk Rubel's level of communication at the highest gold standard, and I hope I can emulate him in every way. Like, if you send me a mail, I will respond to it. And you guys have questions, I will respond to them. If you got ideas, I will review them. I can review my own. If you got criticisms of these ideas, please send them to me. I'm happy to have an earnest conversation about these kinds of things. My entire goal is just to help the devs make the game a little bit more interesting, a little bit fun, a little bit more exciting for not only us as low-sec people, not only null-sec people, but, you know, new players. I want people to feel the community more. I want it to be easier for new players to interact with us more. I want a better retention rate. I want all the same things that we all want. I'm not someone that's going to say I have the answers for everything. A lot of things I don't know about. Faction warfare, I don't know that much about. But if you fly in faction warfare and I somehow get elected, please message me, please, because I want to help suggest whatever it is that's suffering right now be better. And as long as you guys help me out do that, you know, I'll do my best in my ability. The goal here is to help serve, not to be a developer and help create or help control. This is a public office. This is a servitude for the community, not vice versa. You guys are my constituents. I'm accountable to you and you alone. So that's all I have to say.
No, that was really good stuff. I really appreciate you being on the show. For those folks listening, please give Isaac here a consideration for your CSM votes. Go check out his platform. He is very clear and detailed on what he believes, what his goals would be, working alongside CCP during his tenure if he gets elected by you folks.
I think you basically got it covered.
Thank you so much for having me on, guys. I appreciate it.
You guys that are listening, if you are a low-sec focused player, it behooves you to stack the CSM with low-sec candidates at least once. We've never been able to really do that. It's usually null-sec. It's usually stacked with big block.
We have a lot of great candidates this year, too.
Yeah, we do. There's a lot, and we're going to get more on the show so you guys can hear about them, because, you know, this isn't like the way the CSM works. If you've never done it, it's not like you just pull a lever and that's your vote. You get to build a list. Make sure you're doing your research. That is very important. Just like any voting, you have to do your research on your candidates. But I would implore all of you guys out there to please try to stack a low-sec focused CSM just once, just so we can get a message across to CCP that, you know, we kind of are. We're the forgotten children down here. It's always been that way.
Let's make this place alive, man. Let's get low-sec weight. Let's get some null-sec guys to move out of their fucking coalitions over here. Yeah, some new blood in the area.
This has been another episode of Eve Lowlife. Catch you next time. Hey, wait, you listened all the way to the end? You sexy beast. Thanks for checking out Eve Lowlife, our little Eve Online podcast about low-sec life. We hope you enjoyed it. Please keep an eye out for our future episodes and feel free to get in touch with the hosts in-game, Chyph3r, Chyph3r, or Aradusgunnell, Aradusgunnell. Remember, we do allow sponsorships and advertising on the show, paid in ISK, not real money. If you'd like us to plug your corporation or alliance, an upcoming event, or whatever else Eve related, reach out to us to discuss. We can help you make your ad, or you can design your own. Well, that's enough of this shit. Thanks for listening. Later, nerd.